Bam. My peoples. My people. Let's talk boxing. You already know what it is. I'm Jay Smith. This is Box Center, your favorite boxer's favorite boxing show. Let's talk about it. So, the first topic of today, my peoples, Canelo Álvarez versus William Scull. That fight's going down very soon. It's for Cinco de Mayo weekend. So, let's see. Let's talk about it. Most of us feel like Canelo's gonna handle business. We feel confident about it. But how much of William Scull do we actually know? How much have we actually followed him? Me personally, all I've seen is some highlights. That's about it. I haven't really seen a full fight of his. Hey Boogie 616. What's the deal, my brother? Appreciate you dropping in. First one in the building and first one to hit that like button. Hell yeah, my brother. So yeah, the topic of conversation today is Canelo Álvarez versus William Scull. That fight is going down soon. And most of us, we're confident about Canelo. Canelo's gonna beat this guy. Easy work. I've heard people saying that William Scull is a cherry pick. But the reality is that most of us have never even seen William Scull fight. I was just saying, I've seen him in highlight videos, but I haven't really seen a whole fight of his. So I honestly don't know how good he actually is, because when you see the highlights, you get to see good things from a fighter, but there's a lot that you don't get to see. You don't really see their defense. You don't really see their footwork. There's certain tools in their bag that you don't get to see from a highlight video. Watching a fight, that's how you know how good somebody is, and that's how you're able to see their flaws too. Not from a highlight video. Angry Mexican. Scull is sea level. Scull looked horrendous in his last fight versus Vladimir. Go check it out. Scull gassed and was spitting out his mouthpiece. I'll check it out, definitely. Like I said, I personally have never seen a whole fight of his. I've only seen highlight videos where he was looking good in those. So I'll definitely check that out, Angry Mexican. But, there are people out there saying that William Scull has the opportunity to upset Canelo Alvarez. Is that real? Do they really believe that? Now, I do have to say, he's a very big dude. William Scull has a lot of height and a lot of reach advantage on Canelo Alvarez. And he has that, he's Cuban. He has that Cuban style of fighting. Cuban's always going to have that footwork, that movement. He has that super long jab. Angry Mexican. I only watched Scull last fight, so maybe it was just a bad performance. JJ's in the house. Good morning, Jay Smith. I'm here. Let's go hit that like button, everyone. I'm in Twin Falls, Idaho right now. Salute, my brother. Appreciate you dropping in, man. And enjoy Idaho for the Easter weekend. But yeah, man, look, William Scull is a guy that most of us haven't really seen him. Most of us don't know how good or how he is or isn't. And it's easy for us to assume Canelo's just gonna wash him, because us boxing fans tend to do that. If we don't know a fighter that much, we're like, nah, the star fighter is gonna smoke him. But in reality, there are people who have seen William Scull who are saying, yo, this guy can upset Canelo. Upset alert. Based on his height, his reach, his skill level. That cute. Look, you got to remember, the people who beat Canelo had very good footwork. Elite level footwork, right? And even Erislandis Lara, who Canelo beat, but Lara gave Canelo problems with that footwork. And what is Erislandis Lara? Cuban. So William Scull, being a Cuban fighter, it's almost like by default, he's going to have good footwork. by default, he has to have good footwork. So he's gonna have, the the qualities that have given Canelo problems. He's real tall, like Dimitri Bivol, maybe taller, and he has real good ring IQ, real good movement. That Cuban style of boxing, he's gonna keep that stick out there. He's gonna move. He's gonna use every square inch of that ring. Angry Mexican. Only bunnies I celebrate are snow bunnies. Do you think paying for Canelo versus Scull and Ram versus Rolly bundle package for 90 is worth it? I mean, I think so. You're paying $45 per card, and it's both cards. I mean, look, I tell you this. Definitely Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, and Teofimo Lopez fighting on the same card. That's worth $45. And that's cheap. That's a good price. And then a Canelo Álvarez card for $45, I think that's also a good price. So a bundle package for both for $90, I think it's a sweet deal. You got to remember, we're coming off of an era where they was already charging $90 for a pay-per-view, $85, $79.99 for one card of pay-per-views. They was charging that $90 for one card. And you could get two where there's a lot of star fighters in there. So I think it's a good deal. JJ's in the house. I don't want an upset because hopefully we can see Canelo and Crawford. I agree with you 100%, my brother. I do not want an upset. I do not want William Scull to make everybody fumble the bag. Respect to him, but I want to see Canelo walk out of there with the W. Because at the end of the day, to me, the biggest fight of 2025, and maybe even the biggest fight in a long time, is going to be Canelo versus Crawford. That's going to be a huge fight, man. And we're right around the corner from getting that. We just need Canelo to win this fight. And in September, it's going down. So I do not want William Scull to win. I'm telling y'all that straight up. Angry Mexican. I'm looking forward to Bacoli and Efe fight on Canelo undercard. I love watching Bacoli fight. I know his last time out he lost. He didn't even have a full training camp. He had like 3 days notice or something like that. So Bacoli with a full training camp, I'm pretty sure he's gonna show out. Angry Mexican. From what I saw, Beterbiev versus Bivol rematch on that huge card did 340K pay-per-view buys globally. That was only $25. That was cheap. That was cheap. And most of the pay-per-views that Turkey has been associated with, that's the price range right there. So I'm surprised that these pay-per-views are going to be more expensive, almost double the price, because if you're paying $90 for both, you're paying $45 for each. So maybe they had to do that because remember, you have in one card, you have Ryan Garcia, you have Teofimo Lopez, you have Devin Haney. You have to pay all three of them. So I think in order to be able to pay all of them, they had to, up them prices. JJ's in the house. Yes, having Easter with my kids and grandkids and watching boxing all weekend. I watched the fight last night too. That's awesome, brother. You get to enjoy boxing with the family, with the kids, with the grandkids. That's awesome. That's awesome. Enjoy it, my brother. Angry Mexican. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Jay. True. I mean, you're paying a lot of stars. So, I think it only makes sense that the prices go up. Shaggy, happy Saturday, my G. Happy Saturday, my brother. Appreciate you dropping in. Angry Mexican. Ben Whitaker fights today, right? No, Ben Whitaker's fight, I'm glad you asked that question. Ben Whitaker's fight is actually tomorrow on a Sunday. I don't know why, but it is tomorrow. And by the way, I will be calling that fight live. So y'all already know what it is. Y'all know y'all boy Jay Smith be calling that action, that play-by-play / punch-by-punch action. El fantasma de Geraldo Ledén, my brother. You know we always say, appreciate you dropping in, my G. You already know we talking boxing, doing what we do. Noble Young, Yo, boss. Salute, my G. So the topic of conversation, my people's Canelo Álvarez, William Scull. What y'all think? I got people telling me that William Scull can upset Canelo. Y'all know he's mad tall. He a big dude. He got that Cuban style of boxing. What do we think, man? What do we think? How do we think this plays out? El Fantasmeo. Angry Mexican. So today is just Gabriel Fundora fight, I guess. Gabriel Fundora? Are you saying Gabriela Fundora? Because I didn't know that she's fighting today. Are you sure she's fighting today? Gabriela Fundora? JJ's in there. That's called Sock 'em, Rock 'em, Robots boxing. You know it when it's time to trade leather, go toe to toe, blow for blow. David, what's up, my G? What's the deal, my brother? Appreciate you dropping in. We talking about Canelo Álvarez, William Scull, Cinco de Mayo weekend. Is there an upset on the horizon? Or is Canelo Álvarez just going to do what he normally does? Break his opponent down to the body slowly and then get the stoppage. Now, I have to say, with William Scull being such a big guy, we have to acknowledge if he has a real good jab, which I'm pretty sure he does, he's Cuban. The guy's Cuban. You know he's coming in with that footwork by default. And that jab. When a guy has that style of boxing, it's harder to consistently catch him to the body. David, watching from Wales, UK. Salute, my brother. Appreciate you dropping in. Shout out to everyone in the UK who's been showing love, who's been coming through to watch Box Center. Really appreciate y'all, man. I'm going to tell y'all something funny. When I look at my YouTube statistics to show who are the people watching the most, the United States is number one, obviously. A lot of people from the U.S. watch the channel. But in second place is the U.K. Even ahead of my own country. U.K. is in second place, so a lot of people from the U.K. are showing love. I really appreciate y'all, man. Real talk. Shaggy, Nelo should have fought someone like Crawford style to see what he compares to. This fight might give him trouble. I mean, I think that it could be a situation where Canelo is going to need, 2, 3, 4 rounds to try to figure him out because, Canelo's trademark is that left hook to the body. But when you have a real tall opponent who's going to keep that jab out there, who's going to use that footwork, it's harder to catch those guys to the body with those shots. You got to close that gap. David, I've shared you all over since I found you. I appreciate you, my brother. You are one of the reasons why a lot of people from the UK are tuning in, man. So salute, my brother. I really appreciate it. Angry Mexican, UK is a huge boxing country. Yeah, man. Look, the one thing I love about the UK is that they support their fighters no matter what. David, you can attest to that. When you guys following a fighter and they lose, they could get knocked out. Their very next fight, the stadium's still selling out. The people still coming to see him. They still showing support. UK fans, they hardcore boxing fans for real. JJ Sendejas, Gabriela does not fight tonight in Los Angeles, California. Gabriela does fight tonight in Los Angeles, California. I have no idea why I thought that was going to be next week. And I was looking at stuff from the zone with Gabriela and her opponent and all that good stuff. But I don't know why I thought it was next week. But I'm glad you guys pointed that out. I will be tuning in. And Gabriela Fundora, y'all know I'm going to be calling her fight. I'm telling you right now, I will be calling Gabriela Fundora's fight. Tap in with me, my people. I'm going to be on it tonight. She one of my favorite female fighters, by the way. King Nadish, what is the boxing match that everyone should watch? It's not a sign, it's not a done deal yet, but Canelo versus Crawford. And I say Canelo versus Crawford because that's the type of fight that even non-boxing fans tune in to watch. People who don't follow boxing will be watching that fight. Angry Mexican, America, UK, Japan, Mexico are the big four today in boxing. I mean, off the top of my head, I can't argue with that. King Nadish, are you Cuban? No, my brother, I'm Dominican. David, Super Joe Calzaghe, but many more world champions from Wales, UK. Hell yeah, my brother. And Calzaghe was he not. To be honest, I feel like Calzaghe never really got his flowers like he should have. He never really got his respect. Like people know about him, and the people that are hardcore boxing fans got respect for him. But I feel like he never really got the flowers like he should have for the type of career that he had. King Nadish, I am jealous. I am jealous. India has no interest in boxing. I mean, there is a certain level of boxing interest in India, not as much because you guys love cricket and you guys love football, not American football, Spanish football, what they call soccer in the U.S. Angry Mexican, tune into Canelo versus Bud if you want to see Canelo domination. Nah, that's not an accurate prediction. Crawford is gonna put the beats on Canelo. It's gonna be competitive. Canelo's a top level fighter, a great fighter, but Crawford's a better boxer, and it's gonna beat Canelo. I already told you that, Angry Mexican. Stop the madness. King Nadish, my dream is to open a boxing gym and develop a style. Oh, that's fire. That's fire. Chase your dream. Look, when a dream seems like it's too hard to reach and it almost seems unbelievable, that's how you know you got a great dream. So go for it, my brother. Caravaggio, Calzaghe was a monster in the amateurs too. Only one loss. I'm trying to tell you, my peoples, Calzaghe was a legit Hall of Famer, a legitimate champion, one of the greats of his era. I don't know why he don't get the respect that I feel like he should. David Caravaggio, I watched him many times, amateurs and pro. So then I'm sure you agree with me. This guy, one of the greats of his era. Angry Mexican, Calzaghe came to America so late. Roy Jones was 39 years old and Hopkins was 43. They were older, but it's not like he was a young buck either. It's not like he was a spring chicken. But still, if you look at Calzaghe's whole career, he faced a lot of tough opponents and beat them. Beat top level opposition throughout his career. And for whatever reason, I think that's part of the reason why he's not as big as he is, because he went to the U.S. later in his career, and a lot of people just didn't know about him like that, didn't follow him like that. But yo, Calzaghe should have been a superstar. He should have been like one of the main characters. Based on his skills, based on his resume, based on the type of people that he beat up. Angry Mexican. That's why I'm not saying all washed up. Roy Jones was KO'd 2 or 3 times before he fought Calzaghe. David, many casuals called all Calzaghe's opponents all cans. That's definitely casual boxing fans. Not just casual boxing fans, but also biased boxing fans who they rooting for these fighters and they really always hating on those fighters. Because listen, I'm gonna put it to you like this, my peoples. Anybody who's a world champion, who defended their title, who operated at a high level for a long time, they not fighting cans. They not. But people, if they never heard of somebody, they automatically assume, oh, that's a tomato can. That's a bum. Just because you never heard of them. There's a lot of good fighters out there. I be trying to tell people, man, you know how many great top level, elite level fighters there's out there that we never even heard from, that we don't know. That's why when I don't know a fighter, I'm not gonna say that he's a bum or that he's a tomato can just because I don't know him. That's crazy work. Crazy work. Caravaggio, to see them compete in the prime years would have been incredible. Yes, that is why he was never world famous like that. King Nadish, which is the best style of boxing according to you? Ooh, listen, the best style of boxing is hard to say. Um, okay, I would say the best style of boxing is a defensive style of boxing. maybe it's not gonna be the most fun to watch, but fighters who have a great defense, who have a defensive style of boxing, they tend to have longer careers. They tend to get hurt less, take less punishment, and when they retire, they're not gonna be punch drunk. So if I could master any style of boxing, I would master a defensive style, a Shakur Stevenson type of style of boxing, a Floyd Mayweather style of boxing. Where you don't absorb that much punishment. That's would be my take. Ozzy, Calzaghe beat Hopkins at his best, but didn't beat Roy at his best. Okay, you can make an argument for that, but still, Calzaghe, the fact that he stepped in the ring with both of them, and the funny thing is that we feel like he didn't beat Roy at his best. But I remind y'all, when he fought Roy Jones Jr., a lot of people were saying that Roy was going to knock him out. A lot of people. Oh, Roy going to knock him out. And look how the fight played out. Ozzy. But at the end of the day, he beat B-Hop and Roy. Beat them both. Beat them both. Hash Bass. Calzaghe retired before he could have faced Andre Ward. Yeah, but Andre Ward was a lot younger. Angry Mexican. Everybody was betting Roy by that time. Everybody was beating Roy by that time. JJ's in the house. And some of them we will never know. And they are pretty damn good. That's what I be trying to tell people, my brother. Like, there's a lot of fighters out there who are elite level. And we never seen them. Never heard their name ever. Maybe because they don't got a good promoter. Maybe because they don't got a good manager. Maybe because where they live in this world. But there's a lot of great fighters out there. Just because we don't know them doesn't make them a tomato can. Caravaggio, Soviet style in my opinion. I like Soviet fighting. I like that style. The only thing I don't like about Soviet style is that they get to a point where they want to trade leather and they take punishment. Like, Soviet fighters could be very technical, very good with slipping punches. But most Soviet fighters, a fight is gonna break out and they're gonna trade leather and take punishment. They're gonna out tough you, they're gonna outwork you, but they're gonna take punishment on the way. Angry Mexican. Hopkins wasn't at best at 43 years old. No 43-year-old is at best. JJ's in the house. You're correct, Jay Smith, about the style of boxing, the art of hit and not get hit. If I could master any style, that's what I will master. A defensive style with great footwork, great ring IQ, that's going to win. Maybe not in the most spectacular fashion, but he's going to get those W's. Angry Mexican. Glenn Johnson KO Roy before he fought Calzaghe. Pancho Villa. Salute, fam. Salute, my brother. Appreciate you dropping in, man. David. When he went to America, he paid for his own plane ticket and made both the flights 50-50 both the fights 50-50 with a handshake. You see? That's old school right there. That's old school shit right there. Ozzy, best style is defensive boxer who can punch hard. I could rock with that. But punch hard, that's not your style. You either have power or you don't. And then that power is going to fit in with whatever your style of boxing is. Pancho Villa. And a lot of them are Cuban. Cuban fighters have always been very good when it comes to the defense. Very elite level footwork. If you look at all the Cubans, that footwork is always insane. They'll put you in the spin cycle. Angry Mexican. Slappy Joe Calzaghe. Ozzy. Boxer punchers. Caravaggio. Good point. It's weakest in the pocket. That's what I'm saying. When they get in the pocket. And look, I don't want to say weakest. I think I will say more irresponsible. Because Soviet fighters in the pocket, they could slip. They got good movement. They could switch angles on you and make you miss. But they get irresponsible and just go bam, 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 rock'em, sock'em robots. Let's beat each other up type of shit. King Nadish. There is a YouTuber boxer called KSI who offered Tony Ferguson to a boxing match. What do you think about these kids? I know who KSI is. I think the YouTubers, they kind of carved their own lane in the world of boxing. And listen, it's a business. If you can make your money, because I tell you what, I don't hate on those guys. If you think about it, most people dislike Jake Paul because of his trolling. Because Jake Paul will sit there and tell us that he want to fight Canelo, that he want to fight AJ. Like, bro, you got beat up by Tommy Fury. What is you talking about? Tommy Fury is nobody in boxing, and he beat you. And you want to fight world champions. So I think there's a lot of animosity towards Jake Paul because he's constantly trolling, constantly talking like he's better than what he is. He keeps fighting retired people and 40-year-old fighters and non-boxers. But the other YouTubers, Salt Poppy, KSI, and the other guys, I don't know their names right now, but I don't knock them because they're doing their thing. They found their lane and they're making money. If I could be, somebody that's fighting celebrities, boxing celebrities, bro, I will be doing that too. I will be getting my bag. Trust me. Trust me on that. I will be getting my money with that. So I respect it 100%. I don't have a problem with it. As long as they don't pull that Jake Paul shit, try to act like they're actual good professional boxers and calling out champions. As long as they don't do that, I'm good with it. David, did you watch Calzaghe Masterclass over Jeff Lacey? Of course I watched that fight, brother. And I'm going to be honest with you, at that time, I really didn't know Calzaghe like that. I was going for Jeff Lacey. I was going for Jeff Lacey to win that fight. I felt confident Jeff Lacey was going to win that fight. But that's really when I found out about Calzaghe. Like, oh, shit. Damn. Underrated Will. Good morning, Jay Smith. Good morning, my brother. Appreciate you dropping in, man. You already know what it is. We talking boxing. Hash Bash. Hit and don't get hit is boxing. But don't forget the hitting part because that's what wins fight. I mean, in every fight, people hit. I don't know a fight where people forgot to hit. Like, come on now, brother. Get it together now. Get it together. Pancho Villa. Fam, Jake Paul is a clown. I've been saying that, man. He a troll. But he's a master businessman. AE. Cesar Chavez Jr. You think he's taking the money and running? Listen, man. Cesar Chavez Jr., I wouldn't be surprised if Jake Paul knocks him out. Don't be surprised. And I'm telling you this because Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., bro, this dude fought back in 2021. He was inactive for 3 years. In 2024, he fought on a Jake Paul undercard, a guy with a grand total of one professional fight. That was Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. last opponent, a guy with one professional fight. So this guy's already, like a cokehead, an alcoholic, a party animal. He's all that shit at once. Undisciplined. Man, Chavez is embarrassed of him. So I don't, the lifestyle that he's living, I don't see him as taking boxing serious at all. I think this is more of a payday for him. Maybe he needs it. He probably does need a payday. And I think that's what this is about. But don't be surprised if Jake Paul knock him out, yo. For real. Carvalho, Jake Paul is actually a decent athlete. Not a good boxer, obviously. And yes, he's a bum outside the ring. David, Angry Mexican, you fight who you put in front of you. Eubank Sr. might have been out of his prime, but Joe still beat him. Zaki, Dominican Republic has a lot of bum fighters. I mean, right now, Dominican Republic has some. De Los Santos about to fight Keyshawn Davis. I don't think anybody sees De Los Santos as a bum. Carlos Adames is a world champion right now. I don't think nobody sees him as a bum. So I think, honestly, Zaki, respectfully, but that's a dumb statement. Every country has bad fighters and great fighters. or almost every country. That could be an exaggeration. Almost every country. Ar- Argelia Otero. Hola, Berraco. Hola, Argelia. We talking boxing, baby. I scared boxer. Okay, so if you scared boxer, you don't need to be in this channel. That's all we talk about. The fuck out of here. JJ said that I watched Victor Ortiz and Paez last night. Ooh, they went to war. They traded some nasty leather out there. Akash, do you love Mia Khalifa? She's a jewelry designer. Okay, Akash, obviously you went up in this channel to waste my time. Go waste somebody else's time, you goofball. Horny people running up in here this early. David J. Smith, who are your top 5 all time? So David, it's hard for me to say off the top of my head because I really have to analyze it. But if I could give you 5, I would say Floyd Mayweather, Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, Smoking Joe Frazier. There you have it. King Nadish, bro, Akash is letting all the Indian down. Damn. Pancho Villa, fuck the haters. That's how we do 'em. That's how we do 'em. Zaki, Dominican Republic doesn't have an all-time great boxer. Why is that? I don't know how to answer that question, my brother. It seems like you're here just to hate on Dominican boxers. Like, we're not even talking about Dominican boxers. That's what you came here for. Just business. Canelo is the face. No one can beat him given a good run, okay? But no, he is the man in boxing. I would say Canelo is without a doubt one of those fighters who is a generational talent. Canelo Álvarez is somebody who, if you think about it, after he lost to Floyd Mayweather, he became a much better fighter. You know, he learned from that loss. Got better, and you see it. You see, he became the face of the sport. Canelo is literally the most popular face in boxing on the world scale. So, you know, that's something that we have to give him his flowers for. And then we look at the resume too. It's like Canelo has so many haters, but if you look at all the great fighters all over the world, they all have a bunch of haters. They all have a bunch of haters. Zaki, what's up, man? Are you still talking about Dominicans? Like, what's your obsession with Dominicans, my brother? Like, you seem to be because we're talking boxing, nobody's talking about Dominicans, and every message of yours has been about Dominicans. But did some Dominicans steal your girlfriend or something like that, bro? What's going on out here? If some Dominicans stole your girlfriend, it was not me or nobody in this channel, brother. Leave Dominicans alone, B. Just business. He's the only boxer, the only power combination. That alone is skill you can't teach. Hold on, King Nadish. People who don't watch boxing think Muhammad was a middleweight. I thought the same too. You know, the thing about Muhammad Ali is that he was tall, so he didn't look big like that. He almost looked kind of slim, especially in his prime. But that's because he was tall. He was a tall dude. Yeah. He's looking to get kicked out. Yo, Zaki, we don't need your energy over here, man. Go somewhere else with that shit. He needs to get the fuck out of here. I'm on a roll today, my peoples. In the first half an hour, I kicked out like 5 people already. That's how we doing it these days. Hash Bass. At your age, J. Smith, how can you put Ali as one of the best when he wasn't there when you started watching boxing? Easy work, my brother. I could put him as one of the best because there's a lot of video footage on him. It's not like Rocky Marciano, for example, who there's very little video footage of Rocky Marciano. So I could put Ali as one of the greatest because there's a lot of footage on him. I watched the video, the fights of him beating Joe Frazier. I watched the fights of him beating George Foreman. And as a matter of fact, in my opinion, Ali's win over George Foreman is the biggest win in the history of boxing. There is no bigger win than that one. Now, Hash Bash, you can tell me, what win do you personally believe is bigger than Ali beating George Foreman? You tell me. JJ's in the house. They stole his girlfriend or boyfriend. I don't know what's going on with Buddy. El fantasma de Geraldo Ledesma and those who fight need to be seen. Please do watch them. That's what I'm talking about. I be trying to tell people, listen, that's why I like to watch amateur boxing. That's why I like to watch fighters early in their career. Because you get to see them going through that development process. And early on, you can already see flashes of greatness. Like if you look at Abdullah Mason, if you look at Kermel Moulton, if you look at Zaquin Moses, you could see flashes of greatness. Like, okay, these guys are headed in that direction. J.O., respectfully, how is your channel ever going to grow if you kick everybody out? I don't know how to answer that, my brother, but people that come over here talking shit that don't got nothing to do with boxing, I kick them out. Quick. So, I appreciate you asking that. My brother. But that's just how I roll. Maybe the channel never grows. I don't know. But I'm kicking people out if they talking some dumb shit over here. Pancho Villa, fam, Abdullah Mason is on his way. That's what I'm talking about, my brother. Abdullah Mason, you could see that he's a special fighter. That's why I also bring up Zaquin Moses and Kermel Moulton. You know, when you watch these guys early on, you get a glimpse of what the future has for us. And boxing's future is safe with those guys coming up. And there's some others out there, not just them. There's some other young fighters out there that's doing their thing. El fantasma de Geraldo Ledesma. J.O., you have a good point, but there's no space to come out with racial stuff. Yeah, man. When somebody come out trying to point at different countries and down talk countries and raising them, nah, man. I don't got time for that. Goofy people. I don't got time for goofy people. JJ's in the house. We have to keep it, the good people in and the bad out. Pancho Villa, few but solid. We don't need a big crowd. My hopes is that we'll get, to 10,000, to 20,000, to 30,000. And the overwhelming majority of people are hardcore boxing fans who truly love the sport of boxing and jump in these lives to talk boxing, debate, argue. Listen, I'm not the type of person who does this live hoping that everybody agrees with me. There's people, man, my brother Hash Bass disagrees with me every single day. But I appreciate him coming through and giving his piece, his point of view. And there's a lot of people who jump on my life to disagree with me every day. And I don't kick them out because that's what we're here for. We're here to debate about the sport of boxing. Pancho Villa, agreed, fam. Look, I asked Hash Bass, what win is bigger than Muhammad Ali versus George Foreman? And look, he disappeared. I haven't heard from him since, but guess what? That man is out there Googling everything he could Google to try to find something to respond to me. Pancho Villa, I remember watching Cotto coming up alongside my dad. We watched Cotto from the beginning. You see what I'm saying? You get to enjoy a fighter's full career. Because that's the one thing boxing fans don't think about. If you're a boxing fan, a real boxing fan, you're going to see fighters come and go. And you're going to see fighters' entire careers. Why? Because a career is going to last between 15 and 20 years. Maybe less than that. We live a lot longer than that. So obviously, like I got to see De La Hoya's career from when he won the gold medal in the Olympics to when he retired. Think about how many fighters. If I watch Oscar De La Hoya's whole career, I watch Floyd Mayweather's whole career. Manny Pacquiao, from the moment he started fighting on ESPN, I started watching him. Watch most of his career. So that's awesome. When you get to see somebody that's young and you say, I'm going to follow this person. I got a feeling. And your feeling turned out to be right. Look at Terrence Crawford, my peoples. I was watching Terrence Crawford when he was on ESPN with the little short ass braids. Short little braids. Way before he fought Gamboa, I was watching Crawford. And just so that you can see, when I saw Terrence Crawford the first time that I saw him fighting on ESPN, right? I stayed following up on him because the first time I watched Crawford fighting on ESPN, there was no internet, there was no social media, there was none of that. So I would just stay tuned in to ESPN to see when is this Crawford guy gonna fight again. I want to see that dude fight again. When is he gonna fight him? And boom, finally caught it. They announced it, Terrence Crawford versus such and such. Yo, I knew that he was gonna be special, and I called one of my boys like, yo, come to my house so we could watch this fight. This guy can fight, bro. He's special. Come through. He came through and we watched Terrence Crawford obviously win his fight. And then I put somebody else on, another one of my boys. I hit him up. Yo, we were supposed to go hang out, have some drinks in his house. And that same day I saw on ESPN that Crawford was going to fight. This was like maybe a year before he fought Gamboa. And I hit my boy up like, yo, you got to see this dude, Terrence Crawford. We going through. We was over there, you know, with the liquor, with the chips and all that. And when he watched it, he was like, oh, shit, yo, that guy can fight. So I've been watching Terrence Crawford before he was somebody, when he was a nobody. And I knew what he was going to do. I knew what he, you know, I'm not going to tell you I knew he was going to become undisputed in multiple divisions, but I felt like he was going to be the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. Back then. J.O., why do these people in the comments keep saying you don't need a big crowd? Of course you do. Ryan, Canelo did 12 rounds against Triple G. My money is on Canelo. So you saying Canelo did those rounds against Triple G, that means you're banking on power. But remember, the two people who beat Canelo, they were not power punchers. The two people who beat Canelo, they had low knockout percentages. And they beat him. They beat him, bro. So power does not dictate who's going to win every fight. J.O., especially when you get super chat button. J.O., good luck to your growth. I appreciate it, my brother. And I'm already slightly over 1,000 subscribers, so I will be having that super chat button and all that. We working on it, my brother. Hash Bass, Jay Smith, when Ali fought Foreman, you weren't even born. And you didn't know how the atmosphere was about during those times. Like the way you talking about Crawford versus Canelo. Bro, why do I need all of that stuff when I'm watching the fight? I don't need none of that stuff. I'm watching the fight. Do you not think that by watching the fight you can see somebody's skill level? You think by watching the fight you can tell what's going on? Do you think I don't know that Ali fought Joe Frazier 3 times and Joe Frazier got destroyed by George Foreman? You got to think about that, bro. What you're saying makes the usual hater stuff, the usual, let me find a way to disagree. It took you 20 minutes and that's what you came back with, Hash Bass, with a horrible response. All you have to do, my brother, was look at the video footage to know the atmosphere behind that, to know that everybody thought Ali was going to get knocked out, to know that George Foreman was destroying everybody, including the guy who beat Ali. George Foreman destroyed them. You don't have to be there to know that Ali was the underdog in that fight and expected to get beat up. You didn't have to be there, bro. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Stop. Hash Bass. Find something better. Take this L. Right now, this is an L for you. Because you don't need to be there to know what was going on with Ali, Foreman, and Frazier. You don't need to be there. Take this L. Do some more Googling and find out something better to say. You don't need to be there to know what was going on in that time in history in boxing. You didn't need to be there. Stop. J. Will, Triple G has a better jab than Bud. We all have YouTube. That's what's great. We have so many fights at our fingertips. That's the point. Hash Bass talking about I wasn't there when it happened. You don't need to be there. Now, when it comes to fights from Rocky Marciano, When it comes to fight from Sugar Ray Robinson, when it comes to fight from Jack Johnson, when it comes to fights from fighters when there was no TV or very limited TV, we don't really know how good they were because we can't see them. We can only go by what somebody else said. But bro, when it comes to fights that are fully on TV and even in color, shut the hell up. You don't know what you're talking about. J.O. Ken Norton cost Ali and Holmes lots of issues. Honestly, I thought he beat both. Ken Norton is a dog. Ken Norton was a dog. Hell edits. Name a card from edit. No. 3 Rick. Does Crawford has a decent resume? Crawford doesn't have a decent resume. He has a great resume. He has a great resume. If you don't know shit about boxing, or if you're a hater, you will say otherwise. But if you look at his resume, you will see that he has a great resume. Yes. If Hashbass, if you're old enough to see that fight, you don't know which one you will pick to win. Bro, it doesn't matter who I would pick to win. What matters is that George Foreman was the heavy favorite to beat up Muhammad Ali. And Ali beat him. It doesn't matter who I would have picked. That's irrelevant. That's incoherent. You got to take this loss and find a different argument. I didn't need to be there to know what exactly was going on and what's the general perception of everybody about George Foreman and about Muhammad Ali. And the perception was that Foreman was a lot bigger, a lot stronger, is destroying everybody, is undefeated, and Ali was just somebody else that he was going to destroy. And it played out the way that it did. Ali stopped him. You didn't need to be there to understand what's going on, brother. If you don't watch tape, if you don't watch footage, that's on you. I watch tape. I study tape. I study footage. I know exactly what was going on during that period in boxing. J.O. Norton struggled with power punchers like Foreman and Shavers. But look at the names you mentioned, though, my brother. Foreman and Shavers. Not just power punchers. These are the best fighters of that era. Guys who were respected, the elite amongst the elite. Who wouldn't? So, if you think about it, Norton, Foreman, and Shavers, they're all elite fighters from that era. And the difference from then and now is that all of the elite were fighting each other. And when that happens, you're going to see people taking L's. You're going to see everybody taking a bunch of L's. That's why when the further back you go, looking at all-time greats, the more losses you find. All these all-time greats with 6 losses, 7 losses, 5 losses. Because they were constantly fighting greats against greats. If you go later into boxing, you'll notice that a lot of people retire with 1 loss, with 2 losses. But how many of the top dogs did they actually fight? But when you look at the guys that's always fighting amongst greats, you find a lot of losses. Look at Oscar De La Hoya. Off the top of my head, I can't say it. He lost to Pacquiao. He lost to Mosley twice. He lost to Floyd. Look who Oscar De La Hoya lost to, bro. Look who he lost to. Tito Trinidad was the first one to beat him. If I'm not mistaken, he lost to Mosley after that twice. He lost to Floyd. He lost to Pac-Man. 5 losses to 5 Hall of Famers. To 5 first ballot Hall of Famers. Imagine that. But that's what happened when you get... Look at Tito Trinidad. Lost to Winky Wright. Lost to Bernard Hopkins. Tito Trinidad had to move up how many divisions before he took his first loss? Remember, he was at welterweight. Tito Trinidad never lost a fight, not once. Got the second most title defenses at welterweight in history. Come on now. So when you talk about great fighters, when great fighters always fighting great fighters, they end up taking losses because one or the other is gonna lose. If two great fighters fight, one or the other is gonna take a L. That's just the way it goes down. JJ Zendejas. I have to go, Jay Smith. God bless everyone. Happy Easter. Tomorrow. Appreciate you, JJ Zendejas. You already know. Enjoy Easter with your family, with your kids, with your grandkids. Have fun, my brother. I'll see you tomorrow. But yeah, my peoples, like when you talk about all-time greats and you go back, you find a bunch of losses. It's not like this new era, this new internet era, where as soon as a guy loses, oh, he got exposed. Oh, he a hype job. Oh, he overrated. I remember, and the funny thing is that opinions, like a hater opinion, doesn't change anything. Look when Canelo lost to Bivol. You know how many people were saying, look, he got exposed, he's overrated, he's blah, blah, blah. And what happens since Bivol? Canelo's still the face of boxing, still the highest paid fighter in boxing, still that dude. That L didn't take nothing away from him at all. He lost, moved up to 175 for somebody who he could have handled, lost. But that has happened throughout history. That's why Floyd Mayweather was so smart. Look at Floyd Mayweather. He went all the way to 147. He didn't keep moving up. I think he did one fight at 154. But he stood at 147. While Oscar De La Hoya went all the way to 160. While Tito Trinidad went all the way to 160. While Sugar Shane Mosley went, I don't know if he went to 160 or just to 154. Floyd Mayweather stuck around. He was like, nah, I'm not trying to go up there, fight them big-ass dudes and take a L. Nah, I'm going to stay right here. You want to fight me? Come meet me right here. So if you look at great fighters who kept moving up and up and up and up, eventually they went somewhere where they got beat. It's the inevitable. You're fighting bigger dudes. Which leads me back to what I was saying about Canelo Álvarez versus William Scull. William Scull's a big dude, bro. He a big guy. And he got that Cuban style of boxing. Which, I'm not going to say Dimitri Bivol has a Cuban style of boxing, but there are similarities. You see that Bivol uses his footwork a lot. He used his footwork a lot on Canelo. And that footwork and that long jab is the reason why Canelo wasn't able to establish that consistent body shot. That's going to break you down. That's going to slow you down and eventually stop you. If you watch Canelo versus Bivol, he landed very few big left hooks to the body like he always does. That wasn't money like we usually see Canelo. That shot for him is money in the bank. Bang. Bang. Bang to the body. Bang to the body. And eventually those are going to slow you down even if you made out of metal. It doesn't matter if you're an armored truck. Those shots to the body is going to break you down slowly. But they have to land. They not going to land if you keep it. Because that's the one thing, if you understand boxing, for you to hit good body shots, you got to get on the inside on your opponent. You got to be right there at point blank range to get that leverage and catch him good with those body shots. So a guy like Bivol, who uses his footwork effectively, who's keeping that jab out there, who got that height and reach advantage, it was tough for Canelo to get on the inside and land those body shots. Super tough. So it's the same thing. Let's see now with William Scull, who's a guy that's mad tall. I think he might even be taller than Bivol, who's Cuban, who has that footwork by default. It's almost like Cuban fighters are born with that footwork. They come out of the womb, a baby hopping around. So, Canelo may have to figure this guy out before he could start landing those body shots effectively. Hash bash. A great boxer don't take a loss in their prime. A great boxer don't take a loss in their prime. Man, you see, there you go with that fanboy stuff. Bernard Hopkins lost in his pro debut. What are you talking about? His professional debut, he lost. Great boxers could take a loss at any point in their career. What happens is, my brother, that you just don't know boxing like that. You watch a lot of TV, you watch a lot of social media stuff, and you think you know boxing and you don't. Great boxers can lose at any time in their career, starting in the middle and at the end. Underrated will, Canelo for the win. I mean, that's what I'm hoping for. And I know Canelo Álvarez is going to be the favorite versus William Scull. I know that. But that's what I'm hoping for, because obviously I want Terence Crawford to fight Canelo Álvarez in September. If Canelo was to lose on Cinco de Mayo weekend, that's it. The fight with Crawford is off. It's not happening anymore. So I don't want to lose that. That's going to be, I've been telling everybody, my peoples, that's going to be the biggest fight in boxing this year. And it might be the biggest fight for a long time. It's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. Hash bash, that doesn't mean you're in your prime in the beginning of your career. You must be forgetting that Bernard Hopkins started late. He started late. He was already in his 20s. He was in his physical prime. That is your prime. That's your physical prime. Your mid-20s. Your mid-20s to your early 30s. That's your physical prime. That's when you're at your strongest, your fastest, your best. But the bottom line is that any fighter can lose at any time. The notion that you don't lose while you're in your prime if you're great, that's by people who watch boxing on TV and don't really understand the sport. Hash bash. If you never laced on a pair of gloves, you'll believe that. And it's going to make sense in your head. But no. You're wrong about that. Lisa G, you're right. Great fighters can lose. People doubt Tank now. How weird these casuals can be. I'm telling you, anybody can lose at any given time. That stuff Hashbash says about, great fighters don't lose in their prime, that's just people who don't know shit about boxing. You've been watching a lot of YouTube videos and you convinced, you think you know boxing, but you don't. You don't know boxing. Leaflet attacker. One punch can change anything regardless of anyone being in their prime. You got it. That's the point. Prime or no prime, anybody can take a loss at any point in their career. It's as simple as that. Boxing is a sport where, just like somebody said right now, just like Leaflet attacker said, it takes one punch to change the outcome of a fight. And it's not just one punch. Sometimes people lose by controversy. Sometimes, it's a close fight. And not only that, what about the fights where the outcome is gifted? You see, like, let me give you an example. And I'm not even going to point out specific fights. Because I could tell you Tank Davis could have took a loss right now. And Lamar Roach got robbed. But Hash Bass is a tankomaniac, so he can't admit to that. But Tank Davis would have took a loss in his prime if they would have gave the real win of that W the other day. Tank Davis would have took a loss in his prime. And there's a bunch of fighters that would have took a loss in their prime if the judges didn't gift them a decision. How many times we've seen that already? So you see, that's things that when you're a fanboy, you don't understand that. You think, they don't lose in their prime. They don't lose. Because you don't understand how many favorable decisions a fighter gets. You don't understand how many times a fighter may have lost, but they didn't give him a loss because the judges were in their favor. That's what happens. That's what happens. That's boxing. Leaflet attacker. Josh Taylor versus Jack Catterall first was a robbery. Boom! That's a good one. That's a good one right there. If any of you guys in here right now watch Josh Taylor versus Jack Catterall won that fight. That first one, for sure he won it. But they wanted to keep the champion undefeated. And they gave it to him. Lisa G, Tank really won. I don't know how you see that, Lisa G. I honestly don't know how you see that. If we watch the fight, easily, Lamar Roach won the first half of the fight. Easily. Then the second half of the fight, Tank Davis started trying to tee off on him and everything. But Lamar Roach threw more punches per round and landed more punches per round. Even without the knee, he should have won that fight. Even without the knee. I don't know, Lisa G, how you saying he won. All three judges, two had draw, but the other one picked Tank. Okay, Lisa G, but what happens if we do that point deduction for the knee? Those two that had it a draw would have it for Lamar. And the other judge that had it for Tank would have it a draw. So Lamar Roach would have won that fight. Like, if you want to do math, Lisa G, let's do math. You know that there's a point. We all know that there's a point deduction when Tank Davis took a knee. That did not happen. We also know that when Tank Davis turned his back on the referee and on the fighter, the referee could have waived the fight and called it a technical knockout. We also know that when Tank's corner went on the apron and wiped his face mid-round while the clock was ticking, they could have got disqualified right there. So there's three ways that Tank could have lost that fight. But he was the star that night. As simple as that. He was the star that night. And because he was a star, because it was a Tank Davis promotion, a GTD promotion, they let it go. They let it slide. He should have took a loss that night. Should have walked out of there with a loss. But didn't. And look, Tank Davis is not the first one that this happens with. There's been a lot of fighters, top level guys who had a tough fight and it looked like they lost, but the judges ruled in their favor. That happens in boxing. So while Hash Bash is fooled into believing that great fighters in their prime don't lose, he just doesn't even understand that judges a lot of time keep these guys undefeated because they're the star. They're the ones bringing in the money. They're the golden goose. So if it's close, they give it to the champion. They give it to the famous guy. They give it to the popular guy. Go check out. Look, if you see Floyd Mayweather versus Jose Luis Castillo, the first one, Floyd Mayweather lost that fight. Floyd Mayweather lost that fight. But for historical reference, he's the winner. But go watch that fight. Go watch that shit. This dude threw and landed more punches than Floyd by a lot. By a lot. Put hands on Floyd like we never seen nobody put hands on Floyd. But at the end of the day, Floyd retired undefeated. So that's irrelevant now. That's ancient history. But if you actually watch video of the fight, Castillo beat Floyd. That's why Floyd had to give him a rematch. Now in the rematch, Floyd whooped his ass. The same thing with Marcos Maidana. Go watch Marcos Maidana and Floyd Mayweather won. Maidana put all type of hands on Floyd. And what Floyd did, gave him the rematch and beat his ass on the rematch. Because he knew what happened in that first fight. The judges favored him. Lisa G, even Roach went down 2 times versus Herring, but judge didn't count them. It's part of boxing. Lisa G, I got to call cap on that. Went down and voluntarily took a knee is not the same thing. Y'all got to stop trying to take other situations that are not the same and trying to make them seem the same. Tank Davis voluntarily took a knee and stopped the action and turned his back and walked away. Roach never did that in that fight with Jamel Herring. Plus, by the way, he lost to Jamel Herring. He lost that fight. What are you talking about? He lost to Jamel Herring, just like Tank Davis should have lost to him. He lost. So the notion that, he also did that, that's a lie. Lamar Roach never just went down on his knee to stop the action like Tank Davis did. And even the New York State Athletic Commission stated it was a mistake. The referee should have deducted a point. That's already out there. That's already out there. So for you to still try to make an argument like, no, Tank Davis won, come on, Lisa. Come on, Lisa. Let's be for real. Leave that attacker, 100% I agree with y'all on that. To be fair, Maidana rocked him. Yeah, Maidana hurt him. Maidana, I still remember that. And I could tell you exactly how it happened. Floyd Mayweather was in a corner with his back up against the corner. Maidana went to jab, and Floyd used to always do this. He used to pull back from the jab, make you miss the jab, and come forward with the right hand. So Floyd used to do this a lot. To all his opponents, he would pull back, boom, and catch you with a right hand. But what happened with Maidana, y'all remember Maidana used to throw the left, and he used to throw this looping right hand that comes from the top. Not straightforward, kind of like from the top, like this. So what happened when Floyd got rocked is that Maidana threw a jab, and Floyd Mayweather stepped back and was coming forward with that right hand. But as Floyd was coming forward, that looping right hand was coming on him. Boom! So Floyd Mayweather was literally going forward when he got hit. Boom! He literally, the bell rang right there. He literally stumbled to his corner. And made it to his corner. If he would have ate that punch with a minute to go in the round, he would have got knocked out. He was stumbling. He would not have been able to stay on his feet. Jose Zendejas. Hello, what's up, my brother? Leave that attacker. Took a knee, then went back to the corner. 1 point deduction for the knee and another point deduction for going back to the corner. And it could have been, the fight could have been stopped. When his corner wiped his face in the middle of the round while the clock is ticking, they could have been disqualified right there. You cannot do that. The corner cannot go on the apron while the clock is ticking and assist the fighter. They can't do that. Leave that tackle, 100% saved by the bell. Saved by the bell, bro. If that punch would have landed with a minute, 2 minutes to go into the round, Floyd could have got knocked out. But at the end of the day, that first fight with Floyd Mayweather and Maidana, where a lot of people saw Maidana winning, the first fight with Castillo and Floyd, where a lot of people saw Castillo winning, is the fact that people saw him winning is irrelevant. The judges gave it to Floyd. So now people like Hash Bass can say, look, fighters in their prime don't lose. Fighters in their prime get their ass whooped all the time, and the judges give them the fight. That's the reality. That's the reality of what happens. So, while some fighters are not popular or not famous like that, so they could lose a close fight, when you're really famous, when you're a big dog, they're always going to give you the close fights. You're always going to be the winner. Somebody got to whoop your ass brutally for them to get the W. And that never happened to Floyd. He never got whooped brutally. Maidana and Castillo beat him. Close fights beat him. But you can't beat Floyd Mayweather in a close fight. All you got to do is look at the punch stats. Threw more punches than Floyd, landed more punches than Floyd. Lost. Just like Lamar Roach. You hear me, Lisa G? Just like Lamar Roach. Lamar Roach threw more punches than Tank Davis, landed more punches than Tank Davis. That's the reality. That is the reality. Hash Bass, great fighters don't lose in their prime. That's because you don't know shit about boxing, brother. People who know boxing understand that you don't know what you're talking about. Lisa G, no, he didn't. You could look at the punch down, Lisa G. Roach threw and landed more punches than Tank Davis in that fight. Per round. Per round. Lisa G, those punch counters are often inaccurate. Ah, come on, man. You see, now you want to make an argument in Tank Davis's favor based on what you think could have happened. Now you want to think that they were inaccurate. Come on, Lisa. All we got to do is watch the fight. Lamar Roach was outworking Tank Davis throughout that whole fight. Lisa G, come on. Come on, Lisa G. I know you watched the fight, obviously. Lamar Roach was clearly outworking Tank. Did you not see in the 7th or 8th round that they was telling him, yo, you got to let your hands go? Watch videos so you could see how they was in the 8th and the 9th round in the corner with Tank Davis. Yo, you got to let your hands go. You got to work. You got to work. There was that sense of urgency because Lamar Roach was outworking him. Lisa G. Wayne boxers said they thought Tank won. Wayne boxers. You say, I'm guessing you saying many boxers. Lisa G, let me tell you. Way more boxers saw Tank Davis lose in that fight. Way more boxers. Everybody that was put, I don't even know who you talking about that saw Tank Davis winning. When you say many, I don't know who you're talking about because literally social media went wild with everybody saying Lamar Roach got robbed. So when you say many boxers saw Tank Davis winning, Lisa, real talk, you're exaggerating. Let's be honest. You're super exaggerating because there's no way many boxers were saying that Tank Davis won. There's no way. There's no way, Lisa. Come on now. The only people that was saying Tank Davis won was Tank Davis fans. Tankomaniacs. Lisa, people just pray on Tank downfall. But you're saying people pray on Tank downfall, but that has nothing to do with people watching Tank Davis get his ass beat. Even Tank Davis fans were saying, yo, I'm a Tank Davis fan, but he lost. He lost. Even Tank Davis fans, Lisa G, come on now. Coqui de los Santos getting deleted and sent to hell by Keyshawn Davis. That's going to be a good fight. I don't think Keyshawn is just going to smoke him. I think it is going to be a good fight because De Los Santos can fight. But I got Keyshawn winning that fight. Lisa G, they mad he wearing the crown. You see, Lisa G, you're going with the Tankomaniac logic. You're attacking the people who saw Tank Davis losing as opposed to looking at the facts. When I'm telling you the facts, Tank Davis got outworked. You're like, nah, they be counting that wrong sometimes. Like, what are you talking about? We watched the fight. We watched Lamar Roach walk Tank Davis down for 12 rounds. Go toe-to-toe trade leather with Tank. I don't know what fight you saw, boo. Did you see Lamar Roach running around and Tank chasing him? Did you see Lamar Roach with his back against the ropes getting teed off by Tank? No. We saw Lamar Roach chasing Tank around for 12 rounds. Come on. We don't need the punch stat to know that Lamar Roach outworked Tank. We don't need the punch stat to know that Lamar Roach threw way more punches than Tank. You know how many times in every round Tank was like this and Lamar Roach, pop, 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 and Tank trying to find an opening to land that big left punch that never landed. Tank Davis lost that fight, Lisa G. He lost. Got his ass whooped. Pancho Villa, fam. Roach won 115, 113. Facts. That's the thing. We saw that fight. We saw Lamar Roach outworking Tank throughout the fight. And I'm not saying that Tank didn't do anything. Tank had his moments. He had his moments in the fight. But overall, come on, man. We saw who was the guy throwing the punches and landing the punches and winning a lot of the exchanges on the inside. I'm going to put it to you like this. Like I said before, the champion They always give it to the champion when it's close. When it's close, they giving it to the champion. If you see that they couldn't give it to Tank, you already know he got his ass whooped. When two judges gave it a draw, you know he got his ass whooped. They couldn't even give it to Tank. They wanted to give it to Tank, but they couldn't. They were like, nah, man, we can't give Tank this win, yo. He got his shit rocked. Let's give it a draw, and we could keep him undefeated. And I'm going to remind you something, Lisa G. If you watch that fight, which I did it live, and I commented on that. When the last round finished, that last bell, go watch the replay. And when you watch the replay, what you're going to see, and you tell me what you think that means. When you watch the replay, what you're going to see is that Lamar Roach and his team was celebrating. Yeah, they was celebrating in that corner. And in Tank Davis' corner, everybody was quiet. Tank Davis' corner, everybody was like looking in the sky and talking low with each other like, oh shit. You could see the concern. Now, if you go to other Tank Davis fights, they celebrating in that corner. Like, if you look at Pitbull Cruz and Tank Davis, that won 12 rounds. When the last bell rang, they were celebrating in Tank Davis' corner. They knew they had the W. Yo, Lisa G, go look. Don't take my word for it. Go look at the tape right after. I'm not saying watch the whole fight. Look at the last bell when it rings and how Tank Davis and his whole corner interact with each other. Them motherfuckers like, shit, yo, we just lost this fight. That's how they was acting. Everybody quiet. Everybody talking low. And then in Lamar Roach, they celebrating, hugging each other, jumping. They know they won the fight. They feel confident that they won the fight. Meanwhile, when they announced a draw, Lamar Roach team was disappointed and Tank Davis team was happy. They was happy. Why do you think that was? Because they knew they got gifted a draw. They knew they lost the fight. Like, yes, we walking out of here with a draw. Ooh. They was celebrating that draw. While Lamar Roach and his team was like, damn, yo, they did us dirty, man. They stole that from us. But where am I going with this, though? Go watch the tape again and see what happened when that last bell rang. All right, Lisa G, check it out now. And I want you to notice something since you're going to see it. When that last bell rang, look how long it took for them to read the scorecards. In the live, I was live for that fight. I was calling that fight. And I was like, yo, why is it taking so long? Damn, I hope they're not going to rob this nigga, man. Why is it taking so long? You know why it took so long? Because when they added the scorecards, Lamar Roach won. And they was like, oh, cook them shits. You got to fix that. Them scorecards got cooked so Tank Davis could get that draw. That's why it took so long. Normally, the last bell rings, and it don't take that long for them to read the scorecards. Yo, it took a while. Go straight to the 12 rounds. It took a while for them cards to come through. Why? They added them shits up. It was like, oh, nah. We got to cook these cards. Cook them shits. Tank cannot take a loss like this. Fixed up a few numbers, made it a draw. That was a gifted draw. Matt Shaughnessy. Reason why I don't watch boxing anymore. It's rigged. Yo. That's what everybody... Nah, I'm not going to say everybody. That would be an exaggeration. I know there's Lisa G and the Tank Davis fans who saw Tank Davis somehow winning that fight. Like, how do you watch somebody get their ass whooped and somehow you see them winning the fight? I don't even understand it. I don't even understand it. Round after round, Lamar Roach was putting so many hands on Tank Davis. I don't understand how somebody... And Lisa G, you kind of got off the hook because you said many fighters saw Tank Davis winning, I would love for you to name 3 fighters off the top of your head who saw Tank Davis winning. Just 3 fighters right now without taking forever to Google, because if it was many fighters, like you said, it should be easy to remember just 3 of them and put their name down so we could Google them and see when, or YouTube the video when they said those things. Because I definitely did not see many fighters saying Tank Davis won that fight. I saw a lot, the overwhelming majority, say that Roach got robbed. That's what I saw. But, you could correct me. You could tell me the names, and I'll look them up, and I'll even come back on the live and be like, yeah, I found a bunch of fighters who saw Tank Davis winning. But I haven't seen any of them right now. For it to be many, I haven't seen it. But we digress, my peoples. Again, Canelo Álvarez is going to fight William Scull Cinco de Mayo weekend. Most of us expect Canelo Álvarez to win that fight. But there are people out there saying that William Scull can upset Canelo. John Parham, salute, my brother. So there you have it, my peoples. Almost 30 likes. Let's go. So there you have it, my peoples. That's my perception of the whole situation with Tank Davis and Lamont Roach. And we're going to see the rematch. Let's see how the rematch is going to play out. For those who were saying, well, yeah, Tank Davis lost, but he just wasn't the same. Who the hell is ever the same when they get their ass whooped? Nobody. T-Man Toss. The lack of big boxing matches is annoying me. I mean, I'm hopeful that we're going to get some big fights. And it's not, look, because we're getting some of those. We got Dmitry Bivol versus Beterbiev. We're going to get Canelo versus Bud in September, hopefully. But it's also the lack of young, elite-level fighters facing each other. Guys who are, 24, 25 years old and undefeated facing each other. Like, that's why I want to see Abdullah Mason and Floyd Schofield. Guys like that are not facing each other. And we need those fights. John Parham. Y'all celebrate Easter there, Jay Smith? Yes, sir. Yes, this is a Christian country, my brother. So Easter is a big deal over here. Matt Shaughnessy. Boxing in the 70s, 80s, and 90s were the best years. Oh, wait a minute, brother. Now you're talking about the golden era. Shit, hold on. It's impossible to compare to those years. Because the thing is that back then, it didn't matter whether you took a loss or not. People were still going to support you the same way. Once we entered the social media era of boxing, as soon as you take one loss, oh, you're a hype job. Oh, you got exposed. You're a bum. You get these people who really don't know shit about boxing, who decide that they're experts and discredit every fighter who ever takes a loss. Because they want everybody to be Floyd Mayweather. It's not like that. It doesn't work that way. T-Man Toss. That's dangerous, John Parham. Dangerous? What's dangerous? What's dangerous? So, yeah, man, I think that, boxing or boxing fans changed because of social media. I think, once social media picked up when it comes to boxing, now anybody watches boxing. Anybody's a fan of boxing, supposedly. And what they do the most is try to discredit fighters. Try to hate on fighters. That's a very popular thing to do, to hate on fighters. And that's what social media has done. People who wouldn't have even been following the sport of boxing call themselves boxing fans. And what they do the most is hate on boxers. Matt Shaughnessy, been a boxing fan since 1988. That's been a minute. But I will say, my peoples, and I said this before, my expectations and what I'm hoping for is that Canelo Álvarez is going to beat William Scull so that we can get Terrence Crawford versus Canelo Álvarez in September. That's going to be the biggest fight in boxing. And I think that that's the type of fight that could even rival, it could even rival Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao, interest-wise. It could rival that fight. Which, by the way, Canelo and Crawford are younger than Floyd and Pacquiao when they faced each other. Because y'all got to remember, Floyd and Pacquiao, that made so many millions of dollars. You know, like, it was the biggest grossing fight until Floyd faced Conor McGregor. Like, it made the most millions and the most pay-per-view buys and everything. The fight was a disappointment. It wasn't. If you remember Floyd versus Pacquiao, it wasn't really a fun fight to watch. You know, Floyd Mayweather was using a lot of that footwork, a lot of movement. Pacquiao chasing, but not really able to catch him like that. It wasn't really a fun fight to watch. That's what I would say. T-Mentors, I was introduced to boxing by Floyd Mayweather. So that you got to watch an era of boxing where a lot of the nice fighters were still facing each other. Because if you started watching Floyd Mayweather, at least if you started watching earlier in his career, at that time, Tito Trinidad and Oscar De La Hoya and Sugar Shane Mosley, Tito Trinidad versus David Reed, Miguel Cotto versus, you know, a lot of fighters were fighting each other. A lot of them. My peoples, I'm about to end this live. But before I do, by the way, I got 29 likes, man. If any of you want to hit that like button to get me to 30 likes, golly, help a nigga out. But before I end this live, as always, my peoples, I want to give a shout out to everybody who tune in to show me love, to talk boxing. This is the sweet sign, the sport that we love. So shout out to John Parham, Team and Toss, Hash Bass, who else rolled up in here, man? Matt Shaughnessy, appreciate you coming through, my brother. Pancho Villa. And everybody else, Lisa G, and everybody else who came through. I really appreciate you guys coming through to talk boxing with me. Tomorrow, by the way, remember, my peoples, Ben Whitaker is fighting tomorrow. It's not today. Ben Whitaker is fighting tomorrow. I'm going to be calling that fight, you know, punch by punch reaction. When I'm calling the fights, it's punch by punch. I'm letting you know the left hooks and the right uppercuts and everything in between. So, y'all already know, my people. Stay tuned. We're going to be doing that fight live. We're going to be talking boxing, my people. So, salute to everybody for coming through. And I'm out of here, my peoples. Happy Easter. Enjoy your time with your family. Don't get too drunk or too twisted. Have fun today. Be safe. Peace out, my peoples. I'm out of here.